Ja Morant has a fraction of the scrutiny and the attention on him that LeBron did from an earlier age. LeBron, we were watching at 16 years old on the cover of Sports Illustrated. LeBron came from a one-parent household, pretty destitute poverty, didn't know his dad, violence all around him, and by 16 was making good decisions. LeBron's not perfect in terms of, everything about his persona or his opinions or what have. I'm certain he has said or done some things that many of you probably find annoying, aggravating, hypocritical, what have you. But one thing we never had to worry about with LeBron, his high school didn't worry, no college would have had to worry. Clearly, the Cavs didn't worry about it. The Heat didn't worry about it. The Cavs again, and now the Lakers. And that is off-the-floor trouble. I mean, it is really amazing when you think about it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what Ja Morant's upbringing was, but we had Gary Washburn join us on the show yesterday. Gary's covered the NBA for a long time. And, Gary was discussing how Ja's dad is in his life. Ja's dad is courtside all the time. Ja had a relatively stable household to grow up in, and here he is acting, quote, hard or whatever, and making the same mistake over and over again, and just looking like a dunce through the whole thing. This is not the only two times that a weapon's been an issue for him. Apparently, he brandished a gun at a 15-year-old kid that came by and played pickup at his house or something. And then he had a mob of guys go to the mall and take on some sneaker store manager because his mom had run into some type of altercation. So clinging to the I'll get guys or we'll handle this or gun violence or whatever, that intimidation threat or we're hard or I'm hard or whatever, that he has cloaked himself in. Never, ever, ever a thing about LeBron. Ever. LeBron, again, grew up in a really rough situation. And from the time he was like 16, he kind of realized he was a CEO of something. That this is my team, these are my guys, this is what I do. And none of it was violence. None of it was through weapons and drugs or violence or guns or street culture. Is this how I show my dominance? Never. I mean, if you think about it, LeBron's mind was so evolved at such an early age. And again, the decision's a bad decision, and there's other things along the way, but it's never about violence. And when it came to doing something that really mattered, he built a school. He built a school for kids. He's helping kids get an education. And I'm not asking Ja Morant to be LeBron, but I am saying that this act that Ja is doing, this silliness that he's engaging in, is something that is so obviously stupid because it's not the way superstars of the NBA act. It is not indicative of these guys. They might have grown up around violence, but most of them have nothing to do with that anymore. We don't consider that with Giannis, who might not have grown up in America, but was like going door to door to sell little candies just to keep the lights on at his house in Greece. We're not talking about Kevin Durant, who, again, one-parent household, terrible poverty in D.C. We don't worry that he's surrounded himself with guns and violence and I'll be tougher than you. LeBron is an extraordinary American success story. Ja is so foolish because if he had any sense in his brain, if his parents instilled any sense into him, the way would be to look at all the guys that have succeeded and say, I'll just follow that. I'll follow LeBron. I'll follow Kevin Durant. And these guys grew up in really tough American households. And what do I do here? How do I act here? How do I come off on social media? Again, Kevin Durant comes off as a sensitive dude, but nobody ever says like, hey man, stop flashing the gun around. Like, that's not what Kevin Durant's all about. If I was Ja, if he had, again, just a brain cell left, you'd look at the guys that have really made it and said, oh, that's the way to do it. These are the guys to look up to. And he's kind of on an island. Like, I saw that Gilbert Arenas was going to talk about this today. There's a very short list of guys in the NBA's history that would connect to what he's doing. And I'm not saying that nobody in the NBA has ever had guns, owned guns. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that the now using that as your brand or with your boys or whatever to prove your worth or whatever, that street toughness, is just not the way that it's done anymore. And Gilbert Arenas is seen as a cautionary tale. So if you were John Morant and you were posed this question, would you rather be seen 10 years from now as Gilbert Arenas or LeBron? It'd be such a no-brainer. It'd be such an unbelievable no-brainer that it's just kind of startling that you must have no sense if that was where you would lean when the path is marked in front of you.